primary school in Perth has cut free play, designating times for students to eat, play and rest during recess and lunch.
Seems that the kids weren't taking part in games. So have children lost the ability to make their own fun and just play? Joining us for their take on it all are Confabbers Claire Hooper and Danny McGinlay.
Two big kids.
Two big kids,
yep.
Absolutely. And also, let us know what you think about this, just whether we need to be a bit more sort of controlling, I guess, of how children use their time at school in their lunch break to make sure they're doing what they should be doing. So contact us on Facebook and all the rest of it, and Michael will get to your comments.
Facebook and YouTube, hello to our audiences there. So, Claire, Danny, yes, playtime for kids seems to not be the go, at least at this point.
I resent this idea that kids don't know how to play. My son knows. My son is very good at games. He knows when we play soccer, if he wants to score a goal, you press the circle button. If you lob it, you hit the square. He's brilliant.
Yes, well played. Nice segue from the last story.
Yeah.
I mean, the school talks about observing children not engaging in games at recess, and I'm just like sitting alone and not doing anything. If I'd just been in a classroom with 30 kids, I'd also not want to sit around the kids. I mean, like, honestly, what do you think the teacher's doing inside the classroom? You think she's picking a ball?
Curled up in a fetal
She's
position.
also sitting on a bench staring at a wall. Like, what's
I
wrong
want
with
to be
that?
alone.
Right?
Maybe they're having...
Kids sit still.
Maybe they're having regimented play in the staff room as well. They eat your sandwiches, play rounders.
Be
and
nice
then
to the principal.
Be nice to the principal. Talk about which kids you hate for 3 minutes and then move on.
Which parents you hate too.
So they've still got the recess time, and they've got the play time, but they're saying, OK, here are the 15 minutes and you all have to go off and play together and do something together. I don't know, like, just, are we overthinking it? Are we just, being just a bit too crazy with all this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like I said, honestly, just because a kid's sitting alone doesn't mean they're not processing things in their head. They might be thinking about a fairy tale they read the night before. Like, I do actually. And also, if they're sitting still, reducing the amount of time they have to do nothing is not going to make them less likely to do nothing. And then the idea of actually getting teachers to instruct them in games and force more involvement just makes it seem like another lesson, right?
Yeah.
It's time for instructional play, everyone. You are free to do as we tell you.
The comments coming in. Helen says the story in Perth is all the more reason to have unstructured play, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Cass, I'm finding kids needing to be entertained in preschool. They always have someone creating the play for them. It is hard for them, therefore, to transition to school. Leave them alone, says Cass. Give them more play and the imagination will flow. And I think, Danny, the whole, the excess amount of screen time that many kids have these days is, it's imagination in some sense, of course, but it's also limiting an imagination in terms of human to human.
Yeah, what actually my son does at his kindergarten is they do bush kinder, where one of their days is they go to bushland and all the kids are sort of let loose in an area and they learn through imagination, and the teachers are obviously there supervising and guiding them and helping them play, and it's brilliant. He's really come out of his shell. He's more independent. They climb trees. They ask about birds, and so if their kids have got an interest in birds, they'll bring the ranger down from the park and he'll explain about the birds. It's a really open-ended play, and it's genuinely brilliant. I spoke to my son's kindergarten teacher and my mate Anthony, who's an early childhood educator, and I told him about this Perth thing, and he said, look, they might get better NAPLAN scores, but they will not be well-rounded individuals.
All right.
Were you a player at school? Do you recall sort of...
I was the kid sitting alone for sure. I remember often just sitting up in a tree watching the other kids play. Not all of us want to be part of a formalised game. I found it really funny that one of the things the principal said was that bullying is down. I'm like, yeah, of course it's down. Like, they've got less time in which to bully. Like, let me guess. So lunchtime is halved, bullying's halved. If you doubled lunch, bullying would, it's just, of course it is. That's just basic maths, isn't it? I don't feel like that's a proof that the plan is actually of benefit to the children.
As a former bully, I can
endorse that.
I can endorse that.
Message.
We'd have to write up a spreadsheet during the second half of class of when we're going to get to which kids to wedgie, and it's just it's going to distract me from whatever.
There's a lot of planning that has to go into those
now
decisions.
it is. So yeah, maybe it's good for the bullies.
Did you have a favourite game you played, if you can recall, from say primary school and the play school?
For bullying or for
bullying. Yeah, hand over your lunch money, or I'll Literally. Not that, no, but just a general, is it hide at sea?
Oh, we played footy.
Elastics. Did you used to do
What's
elastics?
elastics?
Oh, yeah, we did elastics.
Elastics. I'll
Must
show
be
you
a
after
chick-
the
must be-
show.
And then you
must
get
be a
up to
chick
thigh
thing.
high and it's
Yes.
terrifying. You're like, I'll never
what's
make
elastics?
it.
Oh, that's next week's program.
Yeah.
It's an elastic around their wrists and they jump and they say inside,
not
outside,
around wrist,
monkey's
around your
tail.
ankles.
I don't think you've
Oh,
got
right.
that.
No, well, as boys, we would watch girls playing elastics going, how does this work?
Yeah.
What is happening?
On your sister.
We had, speaking of bullies at our school, we had a game called polling, where the victim, and it was pretty bad for the victim, would grab
know
each...
it's 8:30 in the morning.
Would grab each...
Okay.
I'm keeping it clean. Would grab each leg and pull the hapless victim towards a pole.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it was a rough school.
All right, maybe your lunchtime should have been restricted, actually. Sorry, I think I've just
It wasn't
changed my
pleasant.
mind.
Well, no, he's learning physics there. He's learning an immovable object met with some trauma.
Intense pain.
We've just swung round to the other side.
Lunchtime is bad.
Great
No
move,
lunch.
great move, Perth School. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's always good to have you come in and give us the serious take on these big issues. Yes.
The pole barely survived.
Yeah.
And Claire, thank you so much. All right, shall we move on, Lisa?
Oh, Michael.
Over to you.
You are so moving on. The ceramics industry has been in decline over the past few decades because